good on that.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 27th, 2020 legislative session of the Salisbury City Council. I would ask everyone to please silence any devices that make noise. If during the meeting an emergency should arise, please leave in a calm manner. Exit the chamber, make a right-hand turn, go down the end of the hall and down the stairs. If for some reason that exit is blocked, please make a left-hand turn and then a right-hand turn out of the chamber and go down the stairs. Please do not use the elevators if there is an emergency. If you need assistance, please ask and it will be provided to you. And once again, please do not use the elevators in case of an emergency. At this time, I'll call on Pastor Greg Carlson from Park Seventh-day Adventist Church for our invocation. Pastor.
Thank you, Mr. Heath. I'm admiring your agenda with the times on there, and I think I'll adopt that on my next board meeting, so we can shorten things up just a little bit. It's an honor to be here and to pray for you folks this evening. Let's bow our heads. Father in heaven, I thank you for the privilege of being here and lifting these men and women to you in prayer. Father, I pray that you would give them wisdom as they make decisions to make the city of Salisbury an even better place. Thank you for our first responders. Pray that you would bless them and their families and keep them safe when they're on duty, keeping us safe. Lord, I thank you for the privilege of living in a free country where we can gather and assemble and do the business of the city, as well as gather and worship as we see fit. Lord, give these people wisdom tonight as they make decisions, and give them the courage to do the right thing, even if it's not the popular thing. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Please rise now and join with me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the legislative agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Blake, Ms. Jackson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Jackson, Ms. Gregory. Good evening, Ms. Carter.
Good evening. The consent agenda this evening consists of the January 13th, 2020 legislative session minutes, the January 13th, 2020 closed session minutes, resolution number 2991, approving the reappointment of Sharon Murphy to the Friends of Poplar Hill Mansion for term ending February 2023. Resolution number 2992, approving the reappointment of Eugenie Shields to the Friends of Poplar Hill Mansion for term ending February 2023. Resolution number 2993, approving the reappointment of Carol Smith to the Friends of Poplar Hill Mansion for term ending February 2023. And lastly, resolution number 2994, approving the reappointment of Elizabeth Wolf to the Friends of Poplar Hill Mansion for term ending February 2023. That concludes the consent agenda.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor who approve the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. If any of the following individuals are here, please stand. Sharon Murphy, I don't see Shaney, Carol Smith, and Elizabeth Wolf. We want to thank them very much for volunteering to serve on the board and for all the work they do. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the award of bids.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Jackson. Good evening, Mrs. Miller.
Good evening. Just two items for requests for surplus this evening. The Department of Procurement received a request from the Salisbury Police Department to declare 2 vehicles as surplus. Both of these vehicles were involved in accidents, which left them unable to be put back into service. Vehicle identification information is on your attached departmental memos. Upon declaration of surplus, as approved by the council, the city will receive insurance proceeds and the vehicles will be destroyed.
Any questions on that?
Were these patrol cars?
One was the colonel's vehicle.
Oh.
Hold on. It's an administration vehicle number 1601, and the other was patrol vehicle 1482.
What's the colonel doing? Is he on bike patrol now?
That is a fantastic idea.
No. I'm sure the colonel will appreciate that. Okay, we're.
Officer
okay.
Damari, do you need a partner?
We can get a two-seater.
There you go.
I think we should stop while we're ahead. Second item, Mrs. Miller.
That was it. There was two
That's
vehicles.
it?
Mhm.
Oh, good, okay. If there's no more questions, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of the award of bids, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mrs. Miller. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2575 for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Jackson, Ms. Gregory. Good evening, Mr. Tilghman.
Good evening. This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving a budget amendment of the city's special revenue fund budget and to accept and appropriate funds from the Bless Our Children campaign for the Santa's Workshop program, whereas the City of Salisbury's Housing and Community Development Department hosts the Santa's Workshop program every year, and whereas Bless Our Children wishes to donate funds to help sponsor this annual program, and whereas the donation of funds will be used to purchase gifts, refreshments, and equipment used to run the program, and whereas these donations are to be used for the general public welfare by purchasing toys to provide to needy children, and whereas appropriations must be made upon the recommendation of the mayor and approval of 4/5 of the council of the city of Salisbury, now therefore be it ordained by the city of Salisbury that the City of Salisbury does hereby accept the donation of funds of $2,000 from Bless Our Children for the Santa's Workshop program, and be it further ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, City Special Revenue Fund be hereby amended as follows. Increase in the contributions to revenue by $2,000 and increase in operating expense by an equivalent amount.
Any questions or comments?
Just grateful for their support of, again, Santa's Workshop.
You're here. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2575 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2576 for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Jackson, Mr. Boda. Mr. Tilghman.
Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving an amendment of the city's capital project fund budget to reallocate funding for projects authorized to be funded by reallocations in the 2020 budget ordinance, Schedule B. Whereas FY 2020 budget ordinance, Schedule B, included an appropriation for capital projects, as shown in Exhibit A, in the amount of $904,190 by reallocating bond proceeds, and whereas the city's Department of Infrastructure and Development has determined that $116,983 in lawsuit proceeds previously allocated to the Hampshire Road Lift Station project and $48,000 in FY17 bond proceeds previously allocated to the Belt Filter Press project are available for reallocation, and whereas $100,000 in interest accrued on the lawsuit proceeds from the wastewater treatment plant lawsuit and are available for allocation, and whereas projects listed in Schedule B are to become allocated funds by this ordinance, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury that the city's capital projects fund budget be and is hereby amended as follows. And then the chart below, which I don't think I read last time, it shows where the money's coming from and where it's going.
Okay. Questions or comments? Just for the public benefit, all of these are associated with the water, care of our water and movement of our water in the city. If there's no other questions or comments, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2576 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the chair votes aye. Thank you, Mr. Tilghman.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, any comments this evening?
You know, I think I will, for the benefit of the council, share just an update from this past week as I did with staff at department head meeting this morning. But also, I just want to thank council for attending this morning's breakfast with Salisbury University. But yeah, the update I wanted to provide was that I attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors conference and the Mayor's Innovation Project, along with 2 other mayors from Maryland this week. And among our other occurrences and courses and things that we were in, we were invited to spend time with folks from the administration at the White House and learn some interesting funding that may be available in the coming year or so for programs that are designed to partner homelessness reduction with mental health and addiction first aid, and recognizing that Salisbury is one of the small cities in America, one of the only small cities in America that is addressing any of those 3 issues through a comprehensive program. The question was, why is there no comprehensive funding available? So for Salisbury Housing First, for example, we use a little bit of city money, some CDBG money, some emergency solutions grant money, and the question was, why is there no comprehensive federal funding if they want us to implement comprehensive programs and responses, and we're doing it without the funding? And the answer was, we're working on a proposal to go to Congress. So let's all hope and pay attention to that, and you know, if that legislation moves forward, talk to our senators and talk to our congressmen.
Good. Thank you.
Just wanted to share that with
Good.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We do have one request from the audience. Shirley Holland, you have your comments. Please come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and we'd be glad to listen to whatever you have to say.
Shirley Holland, 200 Holland Avenue. My first concern is I've been at this for about 15 years. The alley in back of my house. We use the backyard for all activities. My husband has had 3 strokes. That alley is never cleaned. It is not belong to my landlord. It is not on the landlord's deed. And I have asked everybody representing our district, every time they come in, to get it clean, get it clean. I never get an answer. The only person that's ever helped me was Stevenson. And he got out, and I think he pretty much paid to have it done himself. Very nice. Anything you want done, you asked him. I don't think I should have to go back to Tom again. I feel like that belongs, I know it belongs to the city of Salisbury, and for our health, we're in our 70s, going on our 80s. My husband, as I said, has had 3 strokes. He is right to be able to live without raccoons. We've had infested raccoons and snakes coming into our yard where he's not able to get up and run and take care of himself. And I want that taken care of some kind of way. Next is Isabella Street. I have asked every representative that's come in our district, would you please do something with Isabella between Naylor and Truett? Kids walk to school every day. If a car is coming, that have got to walk in the mud holes. If it's snowing, they can't leave their houses on that street going to the post office, coming down Naylor towards Truett Street to walk to school, so they have to go all the way around. That is a terrible street. I have had my car personally in the shop twice. One car I lost. I should have sued the city because of what the mechanic told me that happened to my car. I'm not a fast driver. Something needs to be done with that street. That thick, square street, nobody lives there like anything. they didn't do anything with that part of Isabella. And the third thing is a little testy thing that I read in one of the weekly papers about a memorial or whatever you want to call it for 3 black men that were killed a long time ago. Hey, people, it's time for us to let doves lie. We don't know who was involved. Right now, we don't care who was involved. Do not donate our city money for this plaque. Let's just get along. Because if we keep stirring in pots, stuff is gonna come up that we don't wanna come up, and it might be some of our ancestors involved, causes a whole lot of hard feelings. We get along fine here so far. Don't let the enemy come in and destroy what we have. So far, under the leadership of your past mayor and this mayor, Salisbury has been moving. Let's keep moving. People don't want Stonewall Jackson up at the courthouse. Leave this alone. Leave it alone. Wherever they are buried, wherever they are, let them rest in peace. Whoever the people that hung them, shot them, took them out of jail or whatever, let them rest in peace. Because some of us have ancestors. Some of us are from that period in our families. We don't want it brought up. Let it lie. And that's all I have to say. But I really pray that you will do something, because I have had the city man to catch 1 raccoon in my yard. I've caught 2. And there are some yards in our area that need to be cleaned up. And I hope you do that for me. We would like to enjoy our backyard this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Holland.
May I?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So, Ms. Holland, you can sit down. You don't have to stay up there. So yeah, we're not supposed to have a back and forth, so I'm just going to address you from here if you don't mind. You can sit down. But the raccoon man is right there in the front row. I assume this is the guy who went and got it. Yes? It was? Okay. So, well, are we hiring? We're not. Okay, we're fully staffed. Okay. Well, then we're fully staffed. And then Mr. Howard in the back there. I'd love for you to talk to him before you leave about the properties that need cleaning up in the city. Mr. Howard is the Director of Housing and Community Development, which includes code enforcement. He can talk to you about if you know of some specific properties that need attention. But I wanted to address a couple of things. So I assure you, Mr. Stevenson is the right person to address alleys. However, he did not pay for anything out of his pocket. City budget addresses those things. However, it is not the city's responsibility to address the alleys. However, it is not under the code. We don't know whether or not, I can't speak to that particular alley, but I can tell you it's not our responsibility to address it. However, we've been doing it, and we'll keep doing it until Mr. Steve. Yes, ma'am.
For 7 years, I did it myself.
I know, but we're doing it now, and we'll continue to do that. However, at some point, there will need to be a reckoning through the law as to whether or not the city continues to do that or hands it off to the property owners adjacent. And
in that reckoning, I would like to be a part of that reckoning.
yes, ma'am. All of the property owners adjacent and tenants adjacent to the alleys should be a part of that discussion. Absolutely.
Because most of them have taken
And
that property.
yeah, and then with respect to Isabella Street, those sections of Isabella don't appear on our CIP for the coming years. So they're not shown as, one portion is shown as in need of minimal patching, crack sealing. As I believe we brought the crack sealing contract to council, did we?
Not sure.
So we've decided to take a several tiered approach to, as you all know, as you all likely know, with the return of highway user revenues to the city is now able to do a lot more paving than we used to do. For about a decade, the state was essentially robbing Peter to pay Paul, taking money out of the Transportation Trust Fund that all of our gas taxes would pay for, and we're being, for lack of a better term, taken for other purposes than returned, rather than being returned to us. And they are now being returned to us. So as you also know, 4 years ago, we depoliticized paving. So paving is no longer done by the person who asked for it. It's now done purely by its scientific condition, its determined condition. So it is the infrared camera determines the condition, and we only go on that basis. Because the way it used to be is whoever yelled the most got their street paved, whether you needed it or not. So today, we don't do that. So Isabella is somewhere in the order. We'll have Amanda pull up or Will White pull up exactly where it would fall. But the crack sealing, my point there is the solution to paving used to be only full mill and pave. But we have a three-tiered, a micro seal, a crack seal and base or in top coat pave, and then a full base replacement, full mill and pave. So we can pave at different levels depending on the needs of the street. Because some streets might be very bumpy to ride down, but have a great base. So the solution doesn't necessarily have to be a full repave. So we'll send you some information about that. We'll send that to council, where Isabella, that section of Isabella Street. And if I can get your email before you leave, or a phone number, if I can get your phone number before you leave.
Because I would like to say, if any of you council people would like to ride there, because there's no lighting down there, anytime after dark, you might have to call the council.
What part of Isabella is it? Is it
Between Naylor and
Okay.
And Truett.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You
Okay.
back on Truett, you either got to wait till somebody to come out or just go in there and keep holding it.
So we'll send that to council. And if I can get your number before we leave, I'll call you when I get an answer from our Department of Infrastructure and Development. Okay?
Yes, and also
Great.
your council has all my information.
I sure do. And Ms. Glantz and I had talked about the alleyway on several occasions, and it was not the city's responsibility to clean the alley, from my understanding. And I had even offered a group of scouts clean it. And at the time, you had declined because you said you didn't want them to get hurt by the raccoons. So, and then winter was also coming on. So we were going to readdress the alley in the spring. That was my last understanding about at least a partial resolution in regards to cleaning the alley up for Mrs. Holland. Also, I brought up the fact, and I think Ms. Glantz has, and had reported back to me, that the same thing with the city paving process, and that the area at that time was not up for a pave. So I don't know if it is at this moment or not, but
So my point about the three tiers of actual solutions, meaning one is less costly and less involved, one is slightly more costly and more involved, and then one is very costly, very involved, is only that we may be able to hit more streets, including streets that are, lower priority from the sort of one solution fits all, but could be seen as higher priority. Now, that'll take an analysis, that'll take the engineers going out there and looking at it, but it very well could mean that something gets moved up that costs less money to pave than a full base repave.
And if there are still potholes, we'll take a trip out there tomorrow and, we can do that too.
All right. Thank you again, Ms. Holland. Any comments for good of the order?
just be sure to donate blood. Please donate blood. Please give the gift of life. If you're ready for donating, call them, get scheduled, and get in there and give your blood.
Thank you.
Also, Angela and I will be going to Annapolis Saturday to take the youth to the National Black Caucus Youth Legislative meeting. And it's a program for the kids in the community, not necessarily just for African-American kids, but for any nationality. The deadline was the 24th, but Delegate Pro Tem speaker said that if I could get some more, they could gladly go. So what I'm going to do is, if anybody's interested, just give me a call. My number's 410-726-8478, and we would be glad to get your kids on the agenda, but I have to have it by at least tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no other business. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we are adjourned.